What's going on, Eagles fans? It's time to lock in on today's episode of Rod's Pod. It's a beautiful Thursday. We got some football coming up between two teams in the NFC East, the Redskins, the Washington football team now, and the New York Giants. Both teams started off the year 0-1 with losses to the Chargers and the Broncos. We all know that Cowboys lost the previous Thursday in the opener of the NFL season to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are also 0-1. There's one team solely in first place in the NFC East right now, and a dominant, and I mean dominant win versus the Atlanta Falcons, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. I told you also. I told you guys this is going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be that dominant of fashion. I'll even admit myself, I didn't see 28-6 coming. I thought that Atlanta Falcons team was going to be good enough to put some points on the board against the new Eagles team that's got a new coordinator, they got a new scheme, they got new play style, they got new players, and I thought they would put it together and get some type of points on the board. But man, I'm happy they didn't. I'm happy Gannon looked dominant. I'm happy the defensive line looked fantastic with pressures on almost every play in the second half after they settled in a little bit. We'll go into each skill position on who I thought was really dominant, what we did seriously really well, and what's to come. And again, I'm telling you guys, this Eagles team is good. The question marks I thought were kind of answered of how Sirianni's going to call plays. I thought he was magnificent in the type of game plan he had for that aggressive Atlanta Falcons defense. And Hurts obviously silenced a lot of doubters in the way he playing a near perfect game. So let's look at it, and let's take away some 5 or 6 things that I thought the Eagles did really, really well. First one being the offensive line was dominant. I mean, when one of my key goals to the game was we have to win the battle of the line of scrimmage. And the offensive line was unbelievable, dominant, and they opened up multiple holes for Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. And I mean holes that a tractor trailer can drive through, holes that I could run through and get 5 or 6 yards at a clip. Like, that's how good they were in hitting their blocks, getting to the second level. I mean, they were able to do anything they wanted with that Atlanta Falcons front seven, being their 4 and then the 3 linebackers behind them. Anything they wanted to do. They could run any type of play they wanted to run because their offensive line was that dominant. I mean, Hurts was dropping back with ease, with his blind side, with Mulata protecting. Mulata gave up, I believe, 1 or 2 hurries, 1 or 2 pressures in every snap he was in. Isaac Samalo was fantastic in the running game, meeting linebackers at the second level, creating holes against that defensive line and that defensive front of Atlanta for Kenny Gainwell on that touchdown play where he hit inside the tackles. He looked really, really good. Jason Kelce, you saw in a couple pulls, center pulls, which is really hard for centers to do because the amount of athleticism needed to pull and get outside and get in front of the running back. I mean, he was pulling, hitting one guy, Miles Sanders pacing behind him, then hitting another guy. It just shows the athleticism and versatility that this line has, and Jason Kelce still possesses. And then you have that right side, which I've told you guys is the best right side in football, Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson. 50 out of Miles' 74 yards went to that right side. So the Eagles understand how dominant that right side is. They gave up 1 sack total in the game, and I didn't even remember it. I didn't see it going through. I went through the film, so it's probably one where Hurts was scrambling, lost a yard or 2. And it wasn't consistent at all. Hurts had very clean dropbacks the entire game. When they did bring pressure and blitz, he saw the blitzes coming, was able to escape and find easy one-on-one and take advantage of bringing another guy in the box and leaving somebody open on the backside. So that was the first thing I noticed was the offensive line dominated. They did what they're supposed to do. They met their potential of potentially being the best offensive line in football, easily being top 5 after week 1, and showing that experience and showing how well they mesh together and how well they can pass defensive linemen off, how well they can pick up blitz protections and blitz schemes, stunts. They just showed their experience. They showed how good they can be, and they showed they have a lot left in the tank for those veterans. And Mulata, you can see how good he is on the up and up after getting that big contract and for years to come. So that was my first takeaway, was the offensive line was dominant. Secondly, I thought you can say the entire defensive line was dominant, but I thought the interior was fantastic. Hargraves specifically, an absolute monster. I mean, Jalen Mayfield, the guy that was the left guard for the Atlanta Falcons, had no shot all game. Zero chance. I mean, if he wasn't double teamed, Hargraves was in the backfield 1 to 2 seconds, throwing Mayfield, applying pressure to Matt Ryan, and getting those 2 sacks that he had in the game, and many more hurries. So he was fantastic. Fletch on the other side was also very good. Saw a lot of double teams his way, but he had managed to eat up space, keep applying pressures. And there's nothing more than a quarterback hates than those interior pressures. If they're not able to step up, plant, and throw, they're not getting that same velocity on the ball. They start throwing high, which misses high, which creates interception opportunities. So that inside pressure is so important. And we were able to be a nightmare on that inside, in our inside rotations. Even when Hassan Ridgeway came in there, a guy that the Eagles cut in the missile 53 and then brought back, he even had a sack and had one of the best performances I've ever seen him have. So he started to meet his potential as well. I thought Milton Williams looked so-so. I was expecting a little bit more. But overall, that interior was fantastic. And even Brandon Graham and Sweat on the outside played really good against the run. Didn't get the pressures and the highlights as the interior did, but they were still super solid. They were dominant, and they easily won the line of scrimmage as well. Next, and probably the biggest and most important thing that people and Eagles fans were waiting to see was Jalen Hurts. Man, did Jalen Hurts meet expectations. I mean, you can't ask for a better start from the guy. And you can even include Sirianni in that as well. I put them as a tandem, Jalen Hurts and Sirianni. I mean, the play calling that Sirianni built around Hurts and that roster and that scheme that he provided was fantastic. I mean, you can't build an offense better to their specific skill sets, which Sirianni preached all offseason, and some people thought it was fluff. How is he going to mask all of our players' skill sets and specialties and stick to a game plan and an offense? But he did it. I mean, he did it. He made Jalen Hurts' job really easy. He gave him a ton of leeway to call audibles at the line, to mix up certain pass protections, and just to be Jalen Hurts, right? To use his athleticism. If you see nothing's there, go. If you have a quick pass, a quick bubble, take what the defense gets you. Give 5 or 6 yards. That's something Carson Wentz couldn't do last year. He was always playing hero ball. Hurts played within the system, took what the defense gave him, made the big play when he had to make the big play, and was just on point with everything he was doing. He was accurate in the RPOs. He was almost perfect and when to hand it to Miles or Kenny to get 5 or 6 yards and when to keep it himself to get 10 to 12. I mean, it was a near perfect game for Hurts. I predicted 265, 75, and 3 touchdowns. He ended with 264, 60, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I knew it. I could see it coming. I knew he was going to have a monster game. The dude, just his leadership skills, his work, and his talent's going to flash. He's a gamer. He came out to play, and so did Sirianni. You can't ask for a better debut from your head coach and quarterback combo there. Next, a big Eagles rookie that everybody was waiting to see, Devontae Smith. I think he showed that he's real deal, right? First NFL catch is a touchdown on a good pick play design from Sirianni. Perfect ball from Hurts, 18-yard touchdown, stability. That's what he provides, is stability. Caught everything thrown his way that was catchable. No drops. And he was primarily going against zone, too. And I think the thing that excited me about Smith is he consistently won on one-on-one battles at the line of scrimmage. And then this game versus the Falcons, they were playing primarily zone, and he was finding the right spots. He was sitting in the right holes, and he showed his IQ. He showed that he's not just, I'm just a receiver that can beat you at the line of scrimmage. No, I'm smart. I'm a full, I have the full package receiver. I can sit when I need to sit in zones. I can find the openings. I'm going to catch everything, and I'm going to take what the defense gives me. And when you do that, you end up with 6 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Tying the best Eagles debut for a rookie wide receiver of all time with Deshaun Jackson. So, I mean, to me, he showed that he's real deal. I expect him to continue to get the bulk of the targets. I think they'll start to open him up a little bit when you start seeing one-on-ones, taking some deep shots. Because besides what people tell you, Hurts can throw a good deep ball. And they didn't show it because they didn't have to. And the scheme they had was perfect. But he can throw a good deep ball. And you're going to start to see that with Quez, Rager, and Devontae Smith going forward. But to me, he showed me he's real deal. And what a debut from the Rook. What a debut. And then lastly, this is one thing that I think we haven't had in recent years is, man, it looks like everybody loves each other. They love playing for each other. They love playing for Sirianni. It was a full team win. When you look across the board, Goddard, 4 for 42 and a touchdown. Rager, 6 for 49 and a touchdown. Smith, 6 for 71 and a touchdown. Gainwell, 937 and a touchdown. Miles, 15 for 74, 4 for 39 receiving. Like, that's a balanced game, a very balanced game. And people looked like they were genuinely happy for others to score. There was no egos. There was none of that. It was just love, and it was just, man, we're going to come together. Who cares what the media says? We know who we are. We know what we can do. And they showed it. I mean, they put on a performance that nobody was expecting except for me, some of the real true followers who's been following this team in camp and saw their potential. So, I mean, they turned national media around like I told y'all they were going to do. It's funny. People want to downplay this win against the Falcons. Like, oh, it's just the Falcons. The Eagles were 3-point dogs. They were 3-point underdogs in this game. People are saying the Eagles won't win 4, 5, 6 games this year. Now it's flipped to, oh, they won't win the NFC East. Or, oh, can they win the NFC East? There it comes. There comes the script. They're going to flip it to say, man, these guys are actually good. They can win the NFC East now. 2 weeks ago, they couldn't win 5 games. Now they're in the hunt to win the NFC East. That's what national media does, and they don't follow camps, they don't follow game plans, they don't look at the talent. They go with the take, they make a bold take, and they try to flow with it. But I told you this is how it's just gonna flip, and now you've seen the potential this Eagles team has. But man, you can't draw it up better than Sirianni drew it up. You can't draw it up better than that defense and Gannon looked. Hurts was unbelievable. Offense, defense line's unbelievable. This cornerback group has a chance to be really good with Slay and Nelson. I mean, it was just a fantastic team win, and it's on to next week, and they showed promise for Eagles fans. After watching that game as an Eagles fan, you have to be excited about this season. Everything looked great. They showed a lot of potential of what they could be, of a open, exciting offense and a high-pressure defensive line unit with a promising secondary and young coaching that looked really good. So you have to be happy what you saw, and it was awesome to see. What a performance! What a debut for the whole team. And they got a big one this week, right? This is a much bigger test when you look at coaching, when you look at overall talent on the roster. And they got the San Francisco 49ers coming to town. When you look at San Francisco, some of the strengths you see, I mean, the first thing that has to come out is Shanahan's creative running scheme and how they run the football. They probably run the football better than anybody in the National Football League. And it's not because they have high-caliber running backs. It's because of their scheme. It's so different. Sometimes they'll motion a fullback, and then he's going to be your lead blocker. Their offensive line unit obviously is very good, very sharp. You got Trent Williams at left tackle leading the way. Probably the best left tackle in football right now. Monster, great in the passing game, great in the running game. Will provide those viral blocks like you saw with Malata. They got a balanced center, a veteran center, in Alec Mack. They got some veteran experience on the right and left side. They're really good. But it's really the way they draw it up. Very creative. They get these running backs that they want that run hard. They got speed, and that's how they roll. They roll with them. They'll roll with whatever guy's back there. They trust their scheme. They trust their game plan. They trust your creativity, and they're going to try to run the ball first and beat you with that attack. That's what they do, and that's what Shanahan's always done. Next, you look, they got a really well-balanced roster. They got some playmakers. So you got Kittle, obviously, probably the most well-rounded tight end in the National Football League. He's big in the run game, and he provides some crucial blocks, being able to block a defensive end one-on-one, which a lot of tight ends couldn't do. Josh Sweat was killing the Falcons tight ends, whether it be Pitts or Hurts last week in the run game when they try to block him one-on-one. Kittle's a little bit better and can do more of that. So that's obviously a weapon to them. If you don't have to throw an extra blocker on the field, you could show your versatility, leave Kittle out there, and he can, you see him on the field, you think, oh, he might be going for a pass play, whatever. It provides that deception, and that's a real asset to them to have him on the line blocking. And then we all know what he can do as a pass catcher. Really good up the middle of the field, strong, big body, catches everything, and once he gets the ball in his hands, he can run for a long time. He's really good. Deebo Samuel, their clear-cut number one receiver, went for 190 yards last week versus Detroit. I mean, dude's had a monster performance. Slay compared him a little bit to Anquan Bolden. Physical, strong, but faster. He can move. He's like a running back with the ball in his hands. So he's going to present a challenge, especially in that play-action game when we're biting. If he gets the ball in space, he can really fly and hurt you. So that's another playmaker that they have on their offensive front and offensive playmaking that can really hurt the Eagles. Defensive playmakers, they're really fast, man. When I was watching tape on the 49ers, they're really fast side to side. Their linebackers can really move. Fred Warner, probably one of the better linebackers in the league, top 3 linebackers in the league. He's fast, man. He's a hybrid. He really moves from side to side well. They just lost a big piece in Trey Greenwell, who was basically the running mate for Fred Warner. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with an injury, a core muscle injury. So that's a big loss for them in that linebacker group. But they're still fast at the ends, too. They got Nick Bosa and Dee Ford. So their outsides are really good on the outside. They had 3 sacks last week. 2 of them went to their DNs, Bosa and Dee Ford. So that's where their strengths lie in that linebacker unit and their defensive ends. And they're just solid. Like when I look at this team across the board, they're just solid. I mean, they don't have too many holes. I think 2 big holes that I see are, 1, the interior defensive line. Detroit ran all over them on the interior. Swift and Jamal Williams really killed them. In the first half, when it was close, they averaged about 5-6 yards a carry, most of them between the tackles. So you might see a lot of Kenny Gainwell this week. He might be a guy that the Eagles look to run through the tackles because Miles likes to bounce a lot. So it might be a Kenny G week where he's getting primary bulk load between the tackles. Because that interior of that Niners front, it showed some gaping holes, and it showed to be one of their weaknesses when you looked at the film. Jamal and DeAndre Swift were killing them inside, and that plays because they have so much speed on the outsides. You got to be weak somewhere, right? That's just the style of defense they are. So that might be somewhere we could take advantage of. Even those running back screens, they got hurt in the running back screen game, closer to the tackles. So we might see a lot more screens between the tackles this week instead of those bubble screens that we saw to Quez outside because of how much speed they have. So that might be an adjustment we make, is really attacking that middle of the field more and trying to stay away from their strengths, the speed. And then they are very, very slim in their secondary. They just lost Jason Verrett, who was their backbone of that core secondary. Emmanuel Mosley has been hurt, didn't play in week 1. So right now it looks like they're starting a rookie, and he played really well, played about 55 snaps, only had 1 reception on him. Let me get the name here for you guys. I think it's Demondre Lenore. So they're starting a 5th-round rookie, played really well. But man, playing corner as a rookie is tough. Like, you're going to go through spurts where you play really well, and then you're going to go through spurts where you're getting beat, especially when you got to match up against the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith, as a number 1 guy. So that's something that could provide some challenges for them. They got Jay Kirkpatrick, who they signed 2 days ago, a veteran in the league, a little washed up, a little cooked out, along with Josh Norman. So they don't have a ton of depth. Josh Norman's been bounced around the league last couple of years. That's never a good sign, right? That's never a good sign. So they're weak there, and I expect the Eagles to try to expose that as much as they can. I think you'll see a lot more deep routes, whether it's 20, 30, 40 yards down the field, we'll see. But I think they're going to try to play their offense deeper when it comes to those vertical routes, because that's one of the glaring weaknesses when you look at the 49ers is the depth in that secondary. I think we can kill them on the ground game still. I think they're fast, but I think if you hit them in the mouth inside, where we are strong with Isaac Seumalo, Kelsey, and Brandon Brooks, they can cause some real problems for them as well. But I mean, it's an interesting matchup. I think quarterback play, when you look at Garoppolo, it's very similar to Matt Ryan. When you see how if you give them time and you let them sit in that pocket, they can point the ball where they want to put the ball and kill you. But we're not the Detroit Lions front. This is Javon Hargraves, Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and some serious depth coming at you all game. So let's see if Jimmy G can move and make those same type of reads, because he's been known once the pressure gets going that his game can start slipping a little bit. So that'll be something to take a look at. Jimmy G kind of torched them the Lions last week, especially down the middle of the field. We got to take the middle of the field away. Make Jimmy G throw the numbers. Make Jimmy G beat you throwing the ball deep outside the numbers. He's really good in the middle of the field to Kittle and Debo. Take that away, apply pressure, make him throw hard, make him make hard throws, and we'll see how elite he is, right? We want to make Jimmy G beat us. We want to attack that running game, maybe put one or two more guys in the box, and make Jimmy G beat us this week. And I'm being serious, guys. Even though I went through some of their playmakers and who they got at offense and defensive side, I still think the Eagles roster is better when you look at it as a whole. I'm taking our defensive line and offensive line over the Niners. I think our wide receiver play is very similar to the Niners. It's not doesn't pass the eye test as one of the best receiving units in the league, maybe even mediocre, but the way Sirianni play calls, the way Shanahan play calls, they play to their guys' strengths. So I think that's very similar. I just think being at home, having a spread out system where the Niners aren't used to, and they've had a lot of key injuries lately. Lost a starting quarterback, a starting linebacker, has some defensive line interior depth problems. And they still have the two quarterback system where they're not really sure who's the guy. So I think this is a good time to play the 49ers. And I'm having a prediction of 28 Eagles, 17 49ers. And I know that's even worse than I had in my prediction last week. I just think they can cause some real problems for Jimmy G. I think they control the line of scrimmage like they did last week. And I think Sirianni have a good game plan to go against this weak secondary. I really do. I think this unit that they're going to play at home presents different challenges, but I still think as a whole the Eagles have a more talented, better roster than the 49ers do. And when you break it down, you look at holes and gaps, the 49ers have more holes and gaps than the Eagles do. So I'm going with a 28 Eagles, 17 49ers prediction. I think Hurts is going to play well again. Jared Goff had a ton of clean pockets versus the 49ers. They didn't really get to him much. They didn't send a lot of blitzes. And if they decide to, Hurts was fantastic against the blitz last week. 5 of 8, 100-plus yards and a touchdown. So that's proven so far not to be a problem for him. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out. I'm still leaning the Eagles' way at home with this momentum, this energy, and I think they dominate the line of scrimmage again. I think it's a good test, but I think they dominate again, especially inside. And I think Jimmy G, getting pressure on Jimmy G will cause problems. I think depth in their secondary is a little too much to overcome. So I think with all those combined, I think the Eagles come out with a W and go 2-0 to start the season and to be the sole leader in the NFC East once again. That's my prediction. Ride with it if you'd like to. That's what I'm going with, and I think it's going to be a great game Sunday either way for both sides, and a huge test for Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and both sides of the ball. That's all we got today, man. That was a fantastic episode once again. I will update you guys right now. We got on the Rods Pod Challenge. I'm going to put all that information on my Instagram. But the 3 first-place leaders, we have Tucker Miller at 11-5 on the spreads this week. John King at 11-5 on the spreads this week. And lastly, my dad, Wayne Rodman, going 11-5 as well. So they set the bar high there, right? They're 11-5 is very impressive when you're picking spreads. They did a heck of a job in their first week. And it is close under that. You got a lot of 9, a lot of 8, a lot of 7-win teams, a lot of 7-win players. So it's anybody's game. Tonight, I'm going to give you some bets I'm going with today. I'm going Antonio Gibson over 60 yards and a touchdown in a same-game parlay, plus 185 on DraftKings. I think the Redskins are going to win outright and with the spread, minus 3.5. I know it's a division game, a lot of stake. I'm going with the home team. I'm going with that defense and that backbone they have, and I think they're really dominating the ground, and they're going against Mr. Turnover, Danny Dimes. That's what I'm rolling with today. Go Birds Sunday. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.